the development of science and technology learning in Nigeria is one of the most critical areas currently being threatened by the ravages of COVID-19 pandemic. Before the arrival of the virus on these shores, things were looking up in the education sector and the education calendar, with young boys and girls from Nigerian secondary school participating and conquering their colleagues from other climes in competitions organized across the world. What can be done to avoid a total loss of this momentum? We're now being joined by Dr. AMA IKURU, renowned public administrator and capacity builder, to be looking at the development of science and technology learning in Nigerian schools currently threatened by the ravages of COVID-19. Let's talk about science and technology. You know, STEM pretty much moves the economy of every society because you need the knowledge of science and technology. But we've not done too well as a country as regards this. So what are the methods or the formulas of getting Nigeria up there in terms of research?
Dr. Ikuru, can you hear us? Here from Lagos?
Okay, now I can hear you.
Yes, okay.
Yes,
you had a question? You had a question?
That again, please.
Okay, the question again, what can Nigeria do to make the country grow and rank high in terms of research and development?
So quite a number of initiatives have been implemented in different sectors of the Nigerian economy. But specific to what we are doing in the Nigerian Oil and Gas Content Monitoring Board, we have set aside a fund to support research and development in the Nigerian universities. We inaugurated the 50 million Nigerian Content Research Fund. Other than that, we are beginning to work closely with the academia to sponsor research into different areas of the oil and gas industry. We're even going beyond the oil and gas industry to also look at what we can do to support research in the other sectors of the economy. We believe what we can do to promote and to grow research in Nigeria is to continue to support the activities of researchers, and to provide infrastructure that will help research and development in Nigeria. And this is what the board is targeted at doing.
Well, I mean, there are many questions with regard to this subject, but let me take it first at a conceptual level. Now, you recall that book written by Lee Kuan Yew, in which he said, he came to Africa and he discovered that people were studying history and courses that he didn't consider relevant to the development process. Instead of focusing on science and tech that can move the country forward, as he chose to do in Singapore. Many years later, the president of Nigeria talked about people reading courses like sociology, which he said was a useless course. And then if you look at the national education policy, it's heavily weighted on the side of science rather than the humanities. What's your view about this? I mean, yes, we should develop science and technology so that we can compete with the rest of the world and be part of that future. But should this be done to the exclusion of the humanities? Those courses that some people say are useless, but which necessarily humanize us as a people.
Thank you very much. So from my experience with the Nigerian Content Development Board, it has become clear that we need technological skills as well as the soft skills, the essential skills. The suite and book of programs that we do, does not skew it into any particular, only to science. We have people who do things like supply chain management, like humanities, like human resources management and things. We need all these skill areas and skill groups, to support what we do and the development of Nigeria, towards the development of the Nigerian economy. So to answer your question straight, I do not believe some skills are useless. I think it's how we develop them. For us in the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, our responsibility is to ensure that Nigerians can participate in activities taking place in the oil and gas industry. And where we find gaps in the skills of Nigerians to participate in such areas, we've developed initiatives to help us cover that gap. So in what we do with a number of the trainings that we've organized, we've focused on gap closure in the first place and then growth and future development. And in so doing, we've covered things that we do in engineering, in science, in technology, and mathematics. And then we're also doing things in the humanities area to support the growth of skills in the Nigerian economy.
Does the board have any specific programs or policies with regards to gender equality in STEM? Is there anything you're doing to spark the interest of girls in STEM and also integrate women? Because to follow from what Dr. Abati said, it's such a prejudice in a lot of countries, especially in Nigeria, where boys are encouraged to turn to the sciences and girls to the arts.
So I think the board is an equal opportunity developer. We have had programs where, when we look at the numbers and the statistics, we did not feel that they get.
Hello.
Yeah, it's a statement of fact. So we've had development programs we've done. Like very recently, we selected about 40 cadets to go, offshore for their stay-time training. At the end of the interviews, we found that we did not have more than 2 girls on the program out of 40. And the board decided to do specific recruitment for women to ensure that at least we have 30% of that population made up of women. Other than that, we have the program developed by the board called Women in Oil and Gas, which is intended to support women to develop their capacities to participate in activities taking place in the oil and gas industry. And if you check the statistics and numbers that we have in the industry today, you'll find that we have successful women entrepreneurs developing. So consciously, the board is ensuring that, yeah, we have more women in the population, that they have equal opportunity to become successful to support what is happening in the industry. Yes, so we have that policy, and the board is consciously developing that.
All right. Is the board also doing anything as regards new technologies in oil and gas? And is it looking forward to the new norm of the world as regards energy that will be renewable energy very soon? Because that's creeping in. Recently, the UK says next 5-10 years, cars will be run basically on EVs and electric vehicles and the likes. Other countries are taking that part. A PwC report recently came out by saying, we're starting to reach peak oil. So are you guys also looking at transition into the future?
So let me step back a bit and say, specific to our mandate, the board is set out to develop capacities of Nigerian businesses, investors, and researchers to support activities taking place in the oil and gas industry. In that regard, we are looking at monitoring what is happening in the space of technology. The initiative we are launching tomorrow, the Science and Technology Innovation Challenge, is supposed to enable us, mobilize the creative energies of youths in the Nigerian universities, to help them come up with new ideas that will propel us to the next decade and to help us play in the fourth industrial revolution. So the board is also working with the academia in specific ideas that will help us talk about green energy, talk about safe energy for the next millennium. The 50 million fund that the board has put in place for research and development, is open to all researchers, is open to all innovators to apply for and use for the development of research in key areas of the economy. Ultimately, when the board is able to grow our participation in the industry to the level that we've targeted ourselves, which is 70% by the year 2010, then it's possible to have more resources to support research into other areas, that will support the development of clean energy for the Nigerian economy. But the board is quite interested in things that we can do that will help us to launch beyond our economy to become globally competitive, and that's what we are trying to do.
Well, Dr. Ikuru, 2 months ago, I think, or in August, to be precise, the board, the Content Monitoring and Development Board, managed to build the NCMD towers after just about 10 years. You've done much better, many people will say, than the NDDC. And on that occasion, during the unveiling of that building, the commissioning of that building, we were told that the NCMD is going to invest a lot more in infrastructure to support local contractors and people within the technology space. How far Have we gone with that? And then there was also a plant, I think, that was commissioned. That plant, is it just serving the purpose of the towers, or it's providing opportunities? Then there was, thirdly, some talk about job creation. So what has the board been doing in terms of capacity development? Because it's one thing to talk about, oh, we are committed to science and technology, but here in Nigeria, the missing link is how efforts are made to build capacity.
Thank you very much. So let me start with the point on what the board is doing to build infrastructure. So the board consciously decided to develop what we call the Nigerian oil and gas parks. We intend to do a total of 6 over the next few years. And as we speak, we have advanced construction work in the Nigerian oil and gas park at Odukwani and in MAL in Bayelsa State and Cross River State. We are also beginning to work seriously on the park in Akwa Ibom State. Now, what we want to achieve with that is to take away the excuse of infrastructure from the ability of Nigerians to go into, profitable manufacturing to support what we are doing in the oil and gas industry. In those parks, you will see that we have also included components of technology that will help us use clean energy, solar. Yeah, and like you said rightly, when the board about 2 months ago commissioned the Nigerian content towers, we also commissioned the 10 megawatt power plant that was a partnership between the board and the Nigerian Ajip Oil Company, which will supply power to the towers and to the Nigerian oil and gas park at Emea. Yeah, so we will continue to, in doing the investment that the board is doing with selected investors, we have also projects that are looking at developing clean energy and working on power development to the different parts of the country. Now, specific to your question on capacity development, we have a policy now that we call the 6-20-20 policy for capacity development. That means that when we spend money in the board to develop capacity, 60% of the people that we train will end up in one form of employment or the other. So we train, we utilize. The other 20% will be targeted at people who are already employed, who need to, grow up their skills to become competitive in the industry. And then the final 20% is for new joiners in the industry. So give and take, we are looking at employability when we plan our programs. We are looking at the relevance of the skill to the industry. And we are beginning to look at how we will make Nigerian graduates become ready for operations and challenges that they will face in the wider economy. Yeah, we are thinking of partnerships with organizations that will take people from when they finish their first degree, through a structured learning program that will put tools in their toolboxes and make them, competitive in the wider economy and even globally. That's the focus of the board, and that's what we try to do. It's only in so doing that we will successfully have Nigerians to succeed experts in key positions and have Nigerians that will continue to lead the industry in the technical parts and even in the administrative part and lead us towards the achievement of the goals of the Nigerian Oil and Gas Industry Content Development Act.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Ikuru, for joining us on the morning show. Thank you very much indeed.